Yo,
What up?
what's up? I mean, a couple of things are going through my head. One, I can't believe we're doing this live. It's been a minute since we've done it. And another thing is, it would be a major troll if. Oh, what? Okay, I don't know what's about to happen.
No, you said a couple of things. That's one thing. Go,
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
And then another thing, it would be a major troll if after all this time and we said we were going to go live, we are like, oh, technical difficulties, and we couldn't do it.
I mean, we'd have just recorded and threw it up.
Would we have?
Yeah, I
Okay.
believe.
Okay.
I believe we would have.
Fair enough. We got at least one diehard in there right now. Herbert Thornton. He's already commenting so far in the chat. Yeah. So I mean, Herbert, what's up, man? It's been a minute since we've been live. We've been doing a couple reaction videos and trying to do a couple of different. IMAX is in
IMAX is
there.
here.
Yeah, IMAX to see it. Yeah. I mean, y'all know what it is. We're busy. Leroy is a man
Not,
with
not,
kids.
not too busy for you. Not for too busy for
Well,
y'all.
don't
For
don't
those of you
don't
out there not watching
say don't say
Colorado,
that. I
I
mean,
mean,
if that was
no,
the
I
case,
mean,
we would have been live a long time ago.
no, we would have been. I mean, technical issues. You went out of town and didn't have internet service, and then the kids got sick. So and I didn't plan. I need to plan better. So like today, I planned to like be home, get them fed, and
Mhm.
in bed. So it's like, yeah, I planned it a little better
So
this
what you're
time.
saying is
So yeah,
you thought of the chat more than you thought of your kids?
no, thought of them equally.
Oh, okay.
I just thought of myself less because there was an event that I wanted to go to that I said, you know what, for the chat, I'm not gonna go to that
I'm
event.
not gonna go. All right, fair enough.
I'm serious. I wanted at 5 o'clock. There was a hip hop pop up museum.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Um, see, and so like
Hey,
this
you know
last
what?
past week,
We
what?
should have went. You and me, we could have live streamed from that.
I mean, honestly, it would have been cool, but I just now met the. Here's the thing, like in our business, you meet so many people, and you're like, you remember in Thor Ragnarok when Tessa Thompson was like with Bruce Banner was like, I know you from somewhere.
Hmm.
He's like, I know you too.
Hmm.
So I was doing that with this woman that we were doing a show with,
Hmm.
and I know her through other people that through when we worked at LTX. And so yeah, Ken, it was basically like, hold on, where's my phone? I can tell you exactly what it was. I'm gonna read the because it started at 5, and by the time I'd have gotten over there and then gotten back and like down, like it would have been a
It'd have been a lot.
okay. I didn't want to curse if we hadn't met
Yeah,
the
we're
metrics.
yeah we're past the time. You can
Um,
curse up a storm now.
oh yeah, I'm about to let them fly. But anyway, here it is. Um, Hip Hop 50 from rec rooms to classrooms, exhibit opening and book launch. So this woman, Dr. Toby Jenkins, wrote a book about hip hop and education, and like basically how educators can use hip hop in the classroom. So the PBS station here, the South Carolina ETV, we has a show called Carolina Classrooms. They did a roundtable discussion with Toby Jenkins, Dr. Toby Jenkins, and 3 other educators who use hip hop spoken word in the classroom. So this launch that she had at the Museum of Education on USC campus had Dr. Tony Keith, Crystal Inslee, and I'm gonna tell you right now, go look up Crystal Inslee. Whoo! Somebody needs to cut a record with her and her spoken word because she dropped some anyway. And then there was DJ Trendsetter, and you know him, Anton Gunn. He donated some of his albums, so the whole they had a whole thing going on, and I was gonna go, but we had a whole packed day this morning. So I was like, you know what? I said we were gonna do this stream. I'm not gonna go. So long story short, I did that for y'all.
All right, fantastic. We love that you did that for us.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess we'll just kind of just dive into it like we normally do. For people who are new or just
Inslee,
joining us,
hold
this
on,
is
Herbert Thornton, hold on, Crystal Inslee. I'm gonna put these people's names. Go look up their spoken word. And matter of fact, I'll drop the show that we did in the chat. It's airing October 19th. man, the idea of using hip hop and that it's 50 in education and in the classroom, it's amazing. But go ahead. I apologize.
No, you're good. Just to get the rigmarole out of the way, the behind the scenes stuff. This is either We Trying channel or Nerdy by Nature Productions. We answer all of it. It's a We Trying channel, Nerdy by Nature Productions. Y'all know where to find us: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, Threads, all those places. Twitter, X, formerly Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I think somebody in the chat said, "Were you Gen V?" I think they couldn't see the full part of your shirt. That it's an X, right? Not just a V for yeah. There we go.
Malcolm, baby.
So I mean,
wore this. So one of the places we went to was Camden for a touch a truck with all like the first responders. And here
you
I
went
am
to
out
Camden
there.
with that on, huh?
Yep.
For those
I'm
who
out there
don't know South Carolina and its history and culture, Leroy was playing dangerous today.
I was out there. I saw Sheriff Bone out there. All the first responders. There were a couple of people looking at me like, and I was like, "Yep." I was pushing that damn wagon with these kids.
Yeah.
So Camden,
nice.
Chicago, they do this thing called Touch a Truck for kids. So they have like all the fire trucks. They had a helicopter out there, ambulance. My kid didn't get in a police car, so we weren't doing that. But
do you call that a positive or a negative?
We just don't discuss it.
The police don't live in Leroy's house. Okay.
Nope. He does watch Paw Patrol, but we ain't discussed the police. Okay. I have listened to a couple of songs of F the Police with him. My wife does not know that, and she's not watching this chat right now. But so yeah,
fantastic.
That's what Touch a Truck is. They have them all over there. Like if you're not a parent recently, you wouldn't know, but they have them all over, different people, and it wasn't bad, but yeah, I was wearing a Malcolm X shirt while I was out there with the kids.
Love it. All right, so you can tell by the title, "The Future of Gaming." If you guys saw our last tape press play, we talked a lot bit about the Microsoft leaks, them stepping on Leroy, your wife knows. Microsoft essentially stepping on rakes over and over again with not necessarily the worst news in the world. It's not damning information, but it's probably information they didn't want out there the way it came out. It's not like anybody said anything super crazy, which was good for them, but still they don't want that information out there. I'm sure that hurts share prices. It hurts how they're going to move behind the scenes, because a lot of people have said, and people does what?
Keep going, because I was thinking about our conversation and I was like, did Microsoft really go ahead? And I'll tell you why I think this in a minute. But go ahead, because out of our last conversation is where this comes. But go ahead.
The thing is, at the time we called it Microsoft kind of stepping on rakes, with just having information out there that they don't want to the public. Again, it's not the most classified information, but still, you don't want the future of how you're doing stuff known to your people until you're ready to do it.
Yeah.
Right. If they wanted the information out there, they would put it out there in a different way, essentially. So go ahead.
Yeah. So we called it Microsoft stepping on rakes. And then I thought about it. And just like you said, it's not like damning information where, like, Uncle Phil's go get canceled, where they were like, saying things like when the Sony leak happened or the Sony hack happened and they stole things and they like released information that they talked poorly about certain people. It wasn't a situation of that. It was just basically, the inner workings of how Microsoft does things and their communications back and forth. And it got me to thinking, a lot of people focused on the big news. Like the biggest headline was Microsoft wanted to buy Nintendo. And it's like, yeah, who wouldn't? You just spent $70 billion on Activision. Nintendo's, I think if you go right now, they're rated at $35 to $45 billion. Microsoft could buy them. Like but so everybody focused on that. But the things that I think a lot of people didn't focus on, which to me was the big one, and because I always rant and rave about the physical versus digital, I think that was a big one. But also what got me was the way they talked about gaming and how they needed to put certain things on their platform and how AAA games weren't selling the way they thought. And I thought that set up this idea of, okay, wait a minute. You're having problems. You're trying to buy studios. You need to get games on on uh, Game Pass. You're losing in the first party software market to Nintendo and Sony. On the flip side, you're thinking of going digital only, which then causes a whole host of problems down the street. And then on the flip side, Sony is just chucking along, and then they dropped in a little information that we didn't even get a chance to talk about. Every PlayStation Plus package goes up $20.
Hmm.
And I was like, what is the future of gaming? Because right after all, like it was like if you think about it, all this information in the last 3 months that came out, the biggest things that came out was the Microsoft leak, Microsoft trying to buy Activision, PlayStation raising the prices of the PlayStation Plus, Jim Ryan stepping down. That's four. And the fifth biggest gaming news, in my opinion, was the iPhone 15 Pro Max, iPhone Pro is going to run Resident Evil 4 and Village out of the box. And I was like, wait, what? And I think all of those things sets the stage for the conversation of what's next for gaming. Like, where does the future of gaming go? And Kim from Chicago said it. Microsoft bought Activision, Blizzard, neither of them, but to get King, the mobile game part of the business. And I think there's a lot of that. There's like, you've said it, so, and you've made a believer out of me in this conversation. Microsoft's goal is to get Game Pass on every platform.
Hmm.
That is their ultimate goal, because if they can get people onto that's $20 a month, everybody has no problem spending, because then you can take that game and play it on every platform, which means you don't have to buy the game, but that means that cross save that you can play it anywhere. And I think that is one of the futures. Now, I don't know what PlayStation is doing. I don't know if the $20 and Jim Ryan, how that works. Jim
Hey,
Ryan
we know what
stepping down.
PlayStation is doing. You know how we know? Because we saw it at their PlayStation conference in June or whatever, when they showed, I don't know, 20 plus games, and like a third of them were service games. You know what
Remember,
PlayStation wants to do?
now one of those games got canceled. Sega
Yeah,
canceled Hyenas.
but that wasn't a yes, true. But that was from Sega. That wasn't made by Sony.
True, but what I'm saying is, I'm wondering, with that cancellation, does that change a little bit of the plan? Because yes, the studio behind Destiny is good doing Marathon. We know Helldivers is still coming out. I can't remember. There were two more.
Or Fair Games, maybe was what it's called.
Fair
The one by
Games,
Jade Raymond Studio. The
and
first
it
one they showed
looked
was Fair
like
Games.
Hiatus, and it looked like
Yeah.
Hiatus. So I guess what I'm wondering is, with Hyenas being canceled, does that change the trajectory of them trying to change games as a service?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because that one, so that was mentioned before Sony's actual press conference, because that one was mentioned, but it wasn't part of Sony's
Mm-hmm.
presentation, because everybody thought, like we said, Fair Games was Hyenas at first. And I was like, no, it's a
Yes,
totally different
because
game.
we looked at it, we were like, "Isn't that Hyenas?" And then it was like, "Oh no, this is a different one. Same genre, same." It was still an extraction game.
Yeah, I think for now Sony is still, whether it's right or wrong. Personally, I'm not a fan of games as service, because they just don't seem. Some of them work, and when they work, they can be gangbusters. Fortnite is ridiculous. Minecraft is ridiculous. But those are like, the exceptions, not the rule. And then, is Call of Duty a games as service?
I think it is.
Because I guess you
I
pay for
think
season pass and stuff, right?
you pay, and if you do Warzone, I think that's and they use the campaigns and the actual game to get people into that ecosphere. So
Hmm.
I would say they are, even though they do have a campaign, but
Hmm.
because I think that was the big problem with Battlefield 2042. You didn't have a campaign that actually got people, because there are people who buy, like me, who buy this game for the campaign.
Right.
I don't care about playing multiplayer. Like, I'll dip my toe in it every now and then just to get that fix, but I love the reaction and the story behind it. So, and I'll play zombies every now and then, but I would consider Call of Duty a live game of service, because they're trying to move into that Fortnite, you know,
Sure.
adding different characters, Spawn as an operator, you know.
Speaking of Fortnite, as we just talk about the news being whatever, Tim Sweeney, the president or CEO, some big wig over Epic Games, just announced they had layoffs.
Mhm. 16, was it, it's 10%?
Yeah, it was a nice little chunk, and people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh wait,
Yeah.
even Fortnite had to do layoffs." It's like, yeah,
Yeah. Was it
everybody's
1,600
doing
employees?
layoffs. It was a
Yeah.
nice chunk.
Hold on, I can.
So I mean, even the games that are successful are still laying people off because as
16% of the jobs, 830 employees. I knew the number 16 played a part in it,
yeah,
but here's the press release. Um, Hi, everyone. As we've shared earlier, we are laying off around 16% of Epic employees. We're divesting Bandcamp and spinning off most of Super Awesome. For now, we're spending way more money than we earn investing in the next evolution of Epic and growing Fortnite as a metaverse inspired ecosystem for creators. Um, Here, towards the end, uh, he says, we're cutting costs without breaking development or our core lines of businesses so we can continue to focus on our ambition plans. About two-thirds of the layoff were in teams outside of core development. Some of our products and initiatives will land on schedule, and some may not ship when planned because they are under-resourced for the time being. We're okay with the schedule trade-off if it means holding on to our ability to achieve our goals. Now, Epic right now is based in North Carolina. Their headquarters is in North Carolina.
hmm
The scope of the layoffs is 830 employees, 16% of the jobs. Around 250 people are leaving Epic due through our divestitures from Bandcamp and Super Awesome. We're cutting costs without sacrificing development. Um, yes, we will continue hiring for critical roles while maintaining net zero at our new size. Um, What about Project Liberty? We've been taking steps to reduce our legal expenses, but are continuing to fight against Apple and Google distribution monopolies and taxes so the metaverse can thrive and bring opportunity to Epic and all other developers. Now that's the question that I think, again, you brought up these layoffs, the future of gaming, because the fight that Epic had was with the game store, was with Apple and their game store.
hmm
And with Apple going into gaming hard, how does that 30-70 split work now? Because Apple in the past could be the bully in saying, hey, if you're on the store, you know, skins, all this other stuff. I'm wondering how that works if you're going to get into mobile gaming and you're going to get into AAA gaming, because there's a big difference. AAA companies ain't used to coughing up money like that
Well,
for their game to be on their platform.
I
Mhm.
wonder. We say there is a difference, but like with the announcement of iPhone 15 doing this stuff, is there going to be a difference now between mobile development and AAA development?
See and that's a question I can't answer. I don't know, but my question is, how does that split work? Now you bringing your game and enticing AAA game manufacturers to make games on the mobile platform that is the iPhone. I have a 12. I have it for work. Um, I would have only reason I thought about getting an iPhone just so I can FaceTime with Katie, but then we have Facebook and I'm able to do that with them, um, with the kids. But I see the remarkable ease of using an iPhone. I'm not a fan of everything it does, just for the way it works, because I'm so used to using an Android device.
Mhm.
But I do see the simplicity behind it. And I do see this is a huge impediment to Nintendo's future plans because the biggest question or the biggest complaint that Nintendo always had was you don't have Bluetooth. I can't play the latest titles on the Nintendo Switch. And an iPhone 15 being able to play Capcom games, Genshin Impact, the Division Resurgence. I There's a lot that's coming that I think it has to put some people on pause. And that's why
You
I
think
said
Nintendo's worried about that?
I think Nintendo would be stupid not to be.
I don't think they're worried about it.
I think they are like I think they're worried. I think they should be worried in the sense of I don't have to buy a Switch, but I have to have a mobile phone to survive in this economy. And if I have a mobile phone that plays some of the biggest AAA games, why do I need a Switch if
Because you can't play like tailor-made
Ke
Mario
it
games
Uh-huh.
on a
That's if
mobile.
you want to if you want to play those games, and that's what I'm saying. To the average, and this is what I'm talking about, to the average gamer, there's a ton of games I can't play on the Switch that if Apple makes it simple for me to play, that it's just a couple of clicks, and I'm already in that ecosphere, and that's what I think why I said going all the way back to that original. I'm thinking maybe Microsoft didn't they might not have wanted that information out, but maybe they didn't step on a rake as much as we think they did because they literally just prepared us for the future. That hey, gaming is going to change. It's going to a digital only ecosphere, and we're buying up everything because we know we're losing the actual console war. But we know that the console war of the future is not tied to a console.
Yeah,
The console is just to get you into the platform, like you said, to get Game Pass.
yeah. I think it's interesting because PlayStation is number one. They're dominant number one. Um, I think when you're number one, you don't have depending on the company, you have a little bit of hubris in that. Ken for Chicago, Stadia was the future. Yeah, let me tell you, Stadia was the future, and
You
I
know
think
what?
that future is still coming. It's just in the
They.
U.S. internet infrastructure is just not where it needs to be for Stadia to really succeed or anything like
I'm
that.
gonna tell you right now, Stadia is going to be looked at, maybe not as fondly, but Stadia is going to be looked at in the future, in 10 to 15 years, the way we looked at the Dreamcast. That the that
That's
the
interesting. I can see
Dreamcast
that.
came out before its time.
Hmm.
The GameCat we were not ready for what the Sega's
Dreamcast,
Dreamcast was.
right?
We as a society weren't ready for it. Sega knew what they were doing.
Well, they had an idea. I don't know if they knew what they were doing, but they tried something.
I would I would say they knew what they were doing. They just didn't have the infrastructure and everybody supporting it that way.
I feel like if that's the case, you don't
The
know what
way
you're doing.
well, but here's the thing. Like we have a good idea, but there's a lot of times that we don't have the actual ability to execute the idea if we had all the resources. And I think if they would have had better partners and more developers on board with them, they could have made it. They could have lasted. And same thing with Google. They didn't. Stadia was like Ken from Chicago says, Stadia was ahead of its time, and the infrastructure wasn't there to support gaming in that way. We were still tied to our consoles. The infrastructure for internet and broadband is not where it needs to be. But in 20 years, somebody's going to take the idea behind Stadia and make billions.
Sure. When we talk about Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard in the European Union or the UK, like a big sticking point is they had to get rid of streaming and their cloud service part.
Mm-hmm.
They had to give that up to Ubisoft because they're like, streaming is going to be big. People aren't talking about it enough, but you guys having that is maybe too much power. So yeah, people are seeing streamings there. It's just trying to figure out two
Cloud,
things:
yep, cloud gaming.
figuring
Yep.
out how figuring out how it works, and then the infrastructure being in place for it to just be so easy. Because now you can, when cell phones first started, a flip phone was everybody had a flip phone as like the basic one. Now you can get a smartphone as a basic smartphone. It doesn't have to be great, but you can get a 4G thing on I'm pretty sure Cricket Wireless has smartphones, right? It's not just a flip. They
Yeah.
have actual smartphones. I mean, yeah, you can
Yeah.
find
Yeah. Yeah.
cheaper plans, subsidized plans on with the smartphone.
So we're talking about the future of gaming. I'm still big on I was hoping I'd be dead by the time an all digital future came. Because like when I told my wife that, she was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "I don't want that." So here's the perfect thing. So a little backstory: we did the hip hop show, right? So we built this set, and while we were building the set, the two women who were producing it, Karen Herman and Brooke Rhodes, or Brooke, I don't want to butcher her last name. Sorry, I'm very bad at Brooke Weeks. Sorry, why did I say Rhodes? Anyway,
Not even close.
they
Okay.
had a vision, not even close. Might a couple of letters were in there. So as they
Right.
were coming up with this idea for the set, I knew what they were trying to do. I couldn't necessarily see it, but we got it built. But the reason why we were able to get it built was because we all had physical things. So there was a guy by the name of Roderick. He works in media ops. He's a DJ. He has hundreds of albums, vinyl. If you look down there, there's two stacks of vinyl albums. I have boxes of CDs. I still have cassette tapes. But if you look right behind me, that stereo system plays cassettes, cassettes, CDs, and vinyl. Everybody brought stuff in. They were like, we took a road case and made it a coffee table. And we were like, what should we put on it? I was like, I got some stuff. I brought in magazines. They were like, who still has magazines? And I was like, that's me. I'm that dude that still has magazines. And I say all of that to say is I'm not looking forward to a digital only future.
Hmm.
I'm not. I still like books. I still like magazines. I still like the physical media. So I'm not one who's going into this willingly. I'm going in kicking and screaming. So,
I don't
but
think. Go ahead.
go ahead. No,
I was gonna. I think digital is definitely the future, but I don't think physical will ever go away completely because there are still so many people who like the idea of being that tangible thing. Now, I wonder if, and this would be interesting, if they start to raise the price of physical items to make it more enticing to buy digital. I wonder if they would do that more, but I don't
no.
think physical would ever go away completely.
Wait, that you bring up a very good point. If you're going digital, and this is why I say Game Pass is going to be gangbusters, and it may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow. Game Pass allows you to play your game and and basically it gives you cross save. So let's say I buy Call of Duty. Jedi Mike, what's up? Uh,
Fans,
everybody,
fans, so subscribe to Jedi Mike. That's all I got to say. I like
hold on.
Jedi Mike. He's a good people.
Yeah, hold on. Jedi Mike is in the chat. Hey, everybody, go find Jedi Mike's channel. Type that into YouTube. Go find him. Subscribe to his channel. I believe he went live a little earlier, so go check him out. Kim from Chicago. I'm that dude. Yeah, like when the zombie apocalypse happens and everybody's like, I don't know what to do with 24 hours a day, and I'm like, I got books, nigga, bro. Like, I don't know what y'all go do. In between
Yeah.
hunting and smashing zombies in the head, I'm gonna be playing PlayStation 4s and on this generator. But
PlayStation 4 is on this generator.
that's just
Using
me.
Last of Us as target practice.
Son, I'm gonna be that Negro in I Am Legend.
Hmm.
um so go show some love to Jedi Mike, but also I agree with you that physical will never go away, but I do believe in the future they are going to raise the prices of physical. But here's the other thing, they're not lowering that price of digital either. And the one thing I like about Game Pass is the idea of cross save and the idea that if I have Game Pass on whatever platform I need to have it on, I don't have to keep buying this every time I have a device.
Hmm.
And that's the beauty of Game Pass. And I tell you, and I'll say this, if the future of gaming is I buy your game digitally in this particular store, If I buy it, I would pay $10 to $15 extra to have a code that allows me to play it anywhere.
Oh yeah,
Now
for sure.
that to me is a cost saving measure and something I'd be willing to pay for. So like
Yep.
let's say I bought, perfect example. My wife bought me Greedfall for X amount of dollars on Amazon. It's the gold edition, whatever, physical copy. In that, there should be a code that if I bought this game in the future, whatever platform, let's say I bought it in the Apple Store, this would afford me to, if you wanted to buy, like, let's say you bought the base price of the game, right? For a few dollars more, would you like to have a code that allows you to play it, to buy, get the code on Valve so you can download it on PC, download it on Sony? I would be willing to do that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if the gaming manufacturers and everybody working together be willing to do that, because to me, that's more money in their pocket. If you
Yeah.
buy, so like perfect example, Sony was not giving you a discount if you already bought Spider-Man on PlayStation 4 and 5, and then we release it in on Steam.
Hmm.
Now you got to buy that full price.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And I think their reasoning behind that is, one, people will do it, but also what you could also say is, and again, I'm not a game developer, but it maybe not be as easy as just control paste and control, copy and paste to make it a PlayStation executable versus a PC executable.
no, we do know that that is true. You are 2,000% correct. Having a game built for the PC market versus building a game for a console, because the console specs are exact. You know exactly what you're building this game for. On the PC gaming market, everybody's rig is different. So you have to be able to build a game that takes advantage of whatever somebody's running out there. They always say you have to have this to run this game, but you're right, that developing process. But now with everybody having certain baseline components in their system, whether it be a Steam Deck, an Xbox, a PlayStation, and now an iPhone,
Hmm.
you're leveling the playing field where now everybody can. Because here's the thing, when we watch a game trailer and at the bottom it says available on these platforms,
Hmm.
be prepared to see that Apple logo up there.
Sure. What I wonder is, so Apple made the announcement with the 15, you can play these AAA games. Would you buy an Apple 15 and play these AAA games? Because even though you can, I wouldn't.
Here's the thing, it's not made for me and you. And I think that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. You and I are not the target audience for this. We're the target audience for the new Nintendo Switch 2, whatever the new Switch is.
Hmm.
We're the target audience for whatever the new console is, because we're the people who do that. The iPhone is trying to get and lock people into their ecosphere to upgrade to the 15 and saying, hey, if you get this phone, because this is what Apple's trying to do. Apple is trying to be the end all be all for your everyday device. So this iPhone is trying to make sure you don't buy the Android, but it's also trying to make sure, instead of you buying something else, they want you to buy Apple TV. They want you to do Apple Music. They want it to be so simple. Apple Pay. That's what they want. They want something else in their ecosphere that keeps you in there. They're trying to get that. They're trying to, you like, hey man, you like Coke? I got this heroin. They're trying to keep you high. That's exactly what they're trying to do. They don't care what you take to get high. They're
Hmm.
trying to keep you high.
But do they think that's going to be a successful thing? Because to me, like the people, does a
Yes.
casual gamer care that you can play the new Resident Evil on
Here's the thing,
your
you're
phone?
looking at it I think we're looking at it from an old perspective. Everybody in the chat drop their age.
Fun times.
Um, huh? I'm
I said fun
46.
times.
I'm
I'm
46.
39.
They're not trying to get me and you. They're trying to get people who are starting out gaming. They're trying see Ken from Chicago is a 55. There's probably nobody in our chat right now below the age of 30, with the exception of maybe Jedi Mike. And I could be wrong, but they're not looking for us. They're trying to get the people who play Fortnite on their phone. They're trying to get the people who play Overwatch or who play games on their phone already.
I don't know if you can play Overwatch on your phone, can you?
I don't see again. This is why we're not the target demo. We're the afterthought. The
Mhm,
target demo is the people who are on their phones all the time. You're not on your phone all the time. You have other interests. You have other things you do.
mhm.
IMAX 48. See, we're not the target demo for this. The demo for this is the people. The demo for this is your nieces and nephews. The
Mhm.
demo for this is Katie's former students because I am going to buy the next console.
Mhm.
If a refresh came out of the PlayStation or the Xbox, would you buy it?
Probably not. I would need a whole new console. I don't need a refresh at this point.
Okay.
Unless they could be like, "Oh, it does this much better." It's like, eh. And this is another question we talk about with the future of gaming.
Mhm,
I'm wondering because at some point, games look pretty good now. Like the verisimilitude in a game looks pretty
mhm.
good. Stuff looks realistic. Last of Us, and I think there's a there. Have you seen a leak about a remake for Last of Us Part Two
Yeah.
or
Well, I
a
mean,
remaster?
they've talked about that for a while, though. I
I
mean,
was like, a remaster? It came out on PS. What are you talking about? But
because
whatever, it's
they
fine.
talked about remember they talked about getting that an updated version of it for the PS5 because Last of Us 2 was PS4. It was at the end of the console life cycle on PS4.
Sure,
So,
that's
and
fine. I just mean it looks really good. I don't know
but
what you're gonna do, but
remember
I'm sure they can make
but
it work.
remember, I was one of the people who were like, "Why do we need one for the PS5 for The Last of Us Part 1?"
Mhm.
And I remember when we had this conversation, I told you they're gonna do The Last of Us Part 2 on the PS5.
Sure, you did. Um,
And
but
now
I say
now
all
here's
that
what
to
I
say,
say. Go ahead.
I was like, what
You
was I
say all
gonna
that to
say?
say, because I asked you about the refresh of the consoles.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, a refresh. I would need it to do something different because for me, the future of gaming is I feel like we have less and less substantial jumps with what graphics are.
Mhm.
I feel like now it's just ease of use and things that you don't think about. Like really, the SSDs in an Xbox Series X and a PlayStation 5, things just loading so fast that it's ridiculous. Like I can't wait to play Spider-Man 2 because of how fast it's going to be. I really would have liked. I really would have liked if Starfield jumping between menus was a whole lot faster.
I think it
Like
will be.
just that idea. I think that would be the future gaming for me, but I don't know how much prettier games are going to be because they look pretty good now.
I think they're gonna look prettier in the sense of how they move, because I think when you 2 things. One, we'll get to the w I when I asked you the consoles, what I should have asked you was, you're not gonna buy the refresh, but I know what you are gonna buy, whatever that Switch comes out next year.
Sure, yeah.
So what I'm saying is, you're not the target demo for this phone.
Mhm.
I agree with part of what Ken from Chicago says. Us older are set in our ways. Young bloods have minds fresh and new, and they're easier to mold by companies. I don't think it's easier to mold. I think it's the same thing that everybody else has done in the past. For those of us who are older, we remember the console wars with Sega and Nintendo, and then it was Microsoft jumped into the ring with Xbox versus Sony, and Nintendo was kinda just out there, the kid eating glue. They talked like the memes were where Nintendo was like, "Well, we'll corner the handheld market." I say all that to say, this is why I think Nintendo should be worried, is because this is going to cut into their handheld market. because I need to buy a new phone or I need to upgrade my phone or I want to upgrade my phone. I don't need a new Switch. And why would I buy a Switch because yes, there's going to be a lot of Mario games. There's going to be a lot of things that are Nintendo only centric. What Apple is hoping is that everything that isn't Mario, we can get on this phone. And I know Nintendo is a little worried because if they weren't, they never would have made a Mario mobile game. They never would have licensed it. They never would have made it. If you ain't worried about it, about that platform, you wouldn't participate in it. And I think that's
I
the
don't know
one.
if that's true. I feel like you're trying to get customers anywhere you can get them.
Boom. You're trying to get customers any way you can get them. And here's the
Yeah,
thing.
but I don't think that means you're worried about mobile.
I think you're worried about it because if you weren't worried about it, you wouldn't have diverted the resources or the effort for that platform. If you're content with everything you're doing and you wouldn't have dipped your toe in it, you wouldn't have done anything to partake in that market. And I think the fact that they made that Nintendo game and it sold like gangbusters made them realize, okay, because here's the thing, on that Apple presentation, guess what was one of the apps that they showed in that presentation when they did the whole was
Oh,
Mario. Go and watch the
it was
3-minute.
it was a game.
Yep, it's the Apple icon for the Mario game was in that presentation.
Okay.
When they showed all the different games that are on mobile gaming for Apple, Mario was up there. So
Well, then that's a boon for Nintendo, right?
it's a boon for Nintendo in the sense of we're here, but that's what I'm saying. If they're not worried about it, they're not a good company because they should be because Apple is coming. That's what I'm trying to say is the future of gaming was before consoles. And I
Mhm.
think Microsoft was ahead of its time because remember they originally said always on connection. And they said, we're not building a game console. We're building a home entertainment console. And gamers lost their mind. Remember that?
Yeah, Don Matrick. He ain't here
They
no
were
more. Actually, Don Matrick, I think, is in charge of what's the game engine that
Unity.
people got upset about?
Unity.
Yeah.
He's in charge of Unity.
Everywhere he goes, he seems to just mess
Now,
stuff up.
I agree with you that he's over there just effing up. But the one thing he said that I think he was ahead of his time was saying the Xbox is not just a gaming console. It is a home entertainment system. And I think in that regards, he was ahead of his time. I think that is the future of gaming, that these things are not just here to play games. They're multi-use platforms, multi-use devices for multiple platforms. And I think that is what Nintendo is lacking when it comes to the future of gaming. The fact that you can't play Netflix and Hulu on their platform, the fact that it doesn't have Bluetooth, the fact that its components are way outdated when it comes to something like a Steam Deck. And now it's going to be so outdated when it comes to an iPhone 15. I think they should be worried. Because here's another thing, that when their own games that are built, these AAA games that are built for that platform look terrible, they're not going to look terrible on the iPhone 15. That's the difference. Because here's the thing, if a game looks bad on an Apple 15, we'll talk about it for a little while. But guess what? The Apple 15 was not made just for gaming. The Nintendo Switch is.
I'm sorry, it's not Don Matrick. People, John Riccitello.
Whoever it is, that's the person over Unity who's now had to walk back all that stuff that they said.
Where was he at? He was at John. Last place Don Matrick was at was Zynga.
Another place making money hand over fist.
Well, not as much as they were though.
Yeah.
John was at EA. That's where he was before. Okay.
EA, it's in the game. But that's what I'm saying, and that's why I said we're talking about the future of gaming. I think Nintendo should be worried because your whole identity is beyond is playing games. Apple ain't just about playing games. Apple is about taking over the world. Apple is rumored to be buying Disney. Apple's thinking about making cars. So the fact that if Mortal Kombat doesn't play well on Apple 15 or whatever Apple device is, okay, cool. Nintendo's job is to let you play games. That's all they're here for.
Hmm.
So it is a bigger deal that Mortal Kombat 1 doesn't play well on Nintendo Switch. So that's why I think Nintendo should be worried.
Herbert Thornton, I have not watched Castlevania Nocturne. You were not the first person to bring that up to me. Um, Somebody else brought that up to me. She told me I needed to watch it, and I will watch it. I just haven't done it yet. I did watch the original Castlevania anime that was on Netflix. I really liked it, so I will check out Nocturne sometime.
Yeah. They released a little information on their Netflix is doubling down on anime. More power to them. I really like the fact that they're like anime is so. I remember when anime was like on the fringe, and now
Oh
it's
man, yeah, I remember watching VHS anime.
yeah. I still got VHS anime. I still have Akira on
Okay.
VHS.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I think
like
Kira just didn't it just come to Blu-ray recently, like this year, maybe last year,
no, it's been
or
on
has it been there
Blu-ray.
for a while?
Yeah, it's been
Has
on
it? Okay,
Blu-ray.
I feel
I
like
think
it's
he made
4K
it
something.
4K. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it
Um,
was. Yeah.
Hold on, I'll have to look. But no, that's why I said I think when it comes to gaming, the future of gaming is I don't want to say it's bright. I think it's a very interesting time. I think the fact that Microsoft Microsoft is a service company. So that they're not just focused on gaming. They they provide a service, a multitude of services and products. Um, I have a VHS deck. I don't have a beta, but I do have Laserdisc.
You
But I
have like the actual Laserdisc player, or just a Laserdisc?
have Laserdisc. I have the original Star Wars on Laserdisc.
Okay.
Now I do not have a Laserdisc player.
I
Um,
bet Eric probably sells one, right?
he does not.
Really interesting.
I checked.
Okay.
He has told me when he gets one in, he will let me know.
Okay.
I could buy one, but then I would have to sell something. But I do have a laser. Do have a couple of laser discs. Um, and I don't have the what's the one where the discs are like in a case, and then you put them in as cartridges. Um, but I do have laser discs.
Was that not beta?
No, beta was the smaller tapes. Remember, it's VCR
Oh,
and beta. And beta,
okay.
we used to shoot on beta. Um, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were in television at the time. I
No,
came in
mm-mm.
right after beta, and we went to DVC Pro.
Yeah, DVC Pro was probably my first tape
Yeah,
before memory cards or whatever.
yeah. I started with DVC Pro. I started right after beta, the transition from beta. Um, damn, I'm old.
Yeah. Ken from Chicago, video game porn crown VHS over. I mean, they talk about that in Tropic Thunder, how the way the porn format will dictate whatever media format it is. But yeah, video game anime have done well. Yeah, a lot of video game stuff is. I still need to see Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I heard that was very good.
I thought it was, and
Yeah,
I
and you're
watched
not the
that
first
before.
person to tell me that.
I watched that before I actually played Cyberpunk. So when you play, if you watch Edge Runners, and then I recommend playing Cyberpunk after you watch Edge Runners because there's items in Edge Runners that will end up that are in the game now. So like there's a couple of weapons, um, uh, clothing that you can wear from the actual anime they put in the game, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Um,
Speaking of Cyberpunk and anime and all this stuff, I need my Arcane season 2. Netflix, friend of the show, Netflix. Where's my season 2 of Arcane?
Edge Runners did actually revive interest. They They charted it. If you go back and look at some of the reporting, when edge runners dropped, if you looked at Steam, you saw the number of players rise after edge runners because the interest in edge runners o- overlaid with the people who played it, and then it actually um, kept it going. Another person, Herbert Thornton, 49. So yeah, that's why I said we're not the target audience because, and this lends a little bit to Ken Chicago's point, we are a little set in our ways. When we think of gaming, we don't think of phones. Do you remember Brian? Do you remember Dee Dee Sharp? Or
I
were
know
you
the name.
after her?
I never worked with
So
DD.
Dee Dee Sharp got hired with this guy, Brian, who was a photographer. Um, I remember when he was in the Photog area, he was playing on an iPad. And this is when I knew I was like, oh, I'm that guy. He was playing Dead Space on an iPad. And I was like, ugh. That was my initial reaction, that initial
Hmm.
judgmental. I was like, why would you? And then I thought, I was like, oh wait, that's actually pretty good. Like Dead Space is now on an iPad and he's playing it. And I had to like get out of that whole I played it when it came originally on the PlayStation. I had to get out of that. But it was,
Hmm.
and that's what I'm saying. The iPhone isn't for me and you because I wouldn't play Resident Evil 4 on an iPhone. I wouldn't play
Right.
Village on an iPhone. But I tell you
Yeah, I want to
what,
see it in its full 4K glory, 65-inch TV, all that jazz.
hmm I want
Yeah.
to be able to sit in my shorts, my socks and flip flops, drinking a beer at home, wife watching TikTok reels, and the kids asleep.
Hmm.
That's how I want to play my games. I don't want to play it on a little ass screen.
Oh, we didn't really. I thought we were gonna talk about this, but we didn't. We're kind of almost out of time. But Jim Ryan stepping down.
I
Thoughts?
think I think that's part of the future of gaming. I think he stepped down because he lost that fight, and I wonder now, like you said, what is the future of PlayStation now that Jim Ryan is gone? Because Jim Ryan was, a lot of people said, was one of the people who stood in the way of certain things happening.
Sure.
And they were very, 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 how do I word this? They never said specifically what he was in, what he was an obstacle for. But I'm expecting in the next year or two, we're going to see some very big changes out of PlayStation going forward that would not have happened under Jim Ryan's regime.
Yeah. I feel like it has come out that he was a big proponent for doing the games as service stuff. That stuff is in development. Those games may come out 2 or 3 years from now. So I know we're going to see changes. I wonder how long it's going to be because I feel like whoever the interim CEO that comes in, they're not going to stop those games. I don't think. I feel like those games would come out. So I
True.
wonder when the changes are going to be. Is it going to be 1, 2 years from now, or is it going to be like 4 or 5 years from now when we see whatever the changes are? I just
That's if
wonder
the
how long those changes are going to come.
um, I'm interested to see in how this relationship going forward with, because Sony was in an IP war with Microsoft,
Hmm.
and I think Sony, because they were kind of the big dogs in the field for the longest time, and Nintendo was kind of over there just eating glue. They didn't really have any real competition. And Microsoft, again, that's why we named it, they keep stepping on rakes. But I think Sony is in a situation where you you ever seen a cartoon or a movie where someone who's smaller than someone else keeps picking on someone bigger than them, but they think they will never fight back?
Like every Kevin Hart movie.
And then that person fights back.
Hmm.
That's Sony and Microsoft. Microsoft is a $2 trillion company. You keep buying all these studios, keeping them from Microsoft. What the fuck did you think they were going to do when they realized, oh, wait, we have money?
Hmm.
It's like, what did you think Microsoft was going to keep being bullied by you?
Sure.
And I think that's where Sony's going to have to be strategic in where they go next and what they do, which is why I wonder why this $20 PlayStation Plus increase, what that really is about. Because we didn't get anything, in my opinion, in that $20 increase that makes it worth $20.
You can watch some really movies that nobody cares about now.
Negro, I still buy movies. I don't
There
give a shit
there
about your street.
there's like I think 100 movies that you have access to
I don't
now
give
that
a shit
aren't
about
great.
that.
I saw one of the features is you now have the option to rent or buy movies. I was like, that's not an option to
I
me.
have
They just
Amazon.
they just make yeah, I
I
mean,
have Netflix. I have
they try to
Hulu.
make it cool that you have the option within, I guess, PlayStation Plus to do it. It's like, I don't mind hitting a few extra buttons. Like, that's not a feature.
Yeah, but I
Don't
don't
give me that
care.
as a feature. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's not worth 20 more dollars, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Especially when your games, your first party games, which are phenomenal, and they do trump Xbox's first party games.
are not
They're
on
not
the service.
yeah, they're not day and date. Like the fact that they're not day and date is like, come on, guys. Like
And
I
not
get it
only that,
because we're gonna pay for them, but
not only that, they're not day and date, and you have to get the higher tier to even play them.
hmm
I mean, I think Sony were doing so well. And like you said, they had hubris, but I also think it's a little bit of Sony was always number one, and they're used to being hunted. They're used to Nintendo trying to keep up. They're used with Microsoft trying to keep up. What happens when you have to go from the hunted to the hunter? And they talk
hmm
about that in football. So let's take right now, Colorado's playing. Um, but let's take it to the NFL. When you are the up and coming team, you're always striving to change the culture. You're always striving to keep up with the haves, and you're the have-nots. That's why Bill Belichick and the Patriots, as much as I hate them, I have to respect them because for almost 2 decades, they were the standard in football. No
sure.
one has
Yeah.
won more Super Bowls. No one has more. I mean, they set the standard for what it was, but they were the standard. So what happens when you're no longer the standard and you now have to go into defensive? And I think that's what we're seeing now with Microsoft and Sony. And that's why I said why Nintendo has to worry about the future of gaming in an iPhone Android market because they cornered the market on handheld. No one, and I mean no one, has done handheld better than them. The
Then
number
who?
one than Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
No one has.
Yeah.
And then they did gaming, handheld gaming so well, they restarted the handheld gaming market.
hmm
That's how good they are. Nintendo's Switch is a literal, you can literally see the lines from the Switch to the Steam Deck. No one's done it better. And
Yeah.
then and then everybody else was like, wait a minute, what are the specs on the Switch again? Really?
I think all eyes are gonna be when we're talking about the future of
Capcom,
gaming.
what you doing? Hey,
All eyes are gonna be on that Nintendo Switch 2, whatever it is.
and I think and that's why I think this launch, hot take, hot take. This is probably one of the most crucial launches for Nintendo in the last since they dropped the Wii U. I think this launch is more critical for them than the Switch is, or the Switch was.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I can
Because
see that. I don't know about it, but I mean, because I feel they have so much money in coffers and reserves, I feel like they'd be fine. But I could see that. I understand that.
because because here's the thing. This Switch 2 could either be the one of the because here's the thing, based on what the Switch 2 is, I may buy it. Because you told me not to buy The OLED switch, you were like, wait till the upgrade.
Hmm.
And I trust you. And this is a lot of things I think people need to understand. I listen to Michael when it comes to a lot of things when it comes to gaming. When Michael said wait on the Switch, because I was at Scratch and Spin and I was like, hey man, I got some credit. I was like, I'm buying a Switch. And you were like, is it for you? Is it for the kids? Is it for Katie? And you were like, don't buy that. Wait till this, whenever it comes out, spend your money on whatever that is.
Hmm.
I said, okay, I'm with you. I think this next console launch has to hit it out of the park because the Switch, and the reason why I said is two reasons. Because of the iPhone 15 and because they set such a high bar with the Switch and what it did, and Zelda, Mario, and all these games that people want to see. Yes, Nintendo, you do well with your own games. How do the next generation of gaming play on your Switch? And here's the thing, we're not even asking for, I don't think anybody's asking for Starfield to play on the Switch. I think they just want to see, how does your own games play on the Switch
Sure.
on the next one? How does Pokemon, what is it, Scarlet and Silver?
Well, whatever, not even those anymore, whatever the new ones are going to be, because people are just
Hmm.
like, these don't run well anyway. But yeah.
Yep. I think that is going to be the next thing. Um, I think that's what's going to be, because here's the thing: we know every PC gaming company is trying to make their own handheld,
Hmm.
and Valve has already proven that the Switch is outdated with the Steam Deck, and we know Valve is going to make a Steam Deck too.
Hmm.
So what's next? And because and this is the thing, because Nintendo set the bar so high for themselves, is why I think this is a crucial launch for next year.
All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up right there. We've been going for about an hour and some change. Give y'all just a taste. Y'all know how we do. Like a good drug dealer, we want y'all coming back for more. So, yeah, right in the veins.
Hey, what got you through the
Uh,
week?
man,
Because you had a
what
rough.
game
Hey, y'all. Michael had a rough week.
did I have a rough week?
Hey, man, the speaker got kicked out. The interim speaker is from North Carolina. The cops
Hey,
showing
I
out,
mean, people.
and you lost your news director.
I mean, that wasn't really this week, but okay,
She
sure.
started Monday, didn't she? Start Monday?
Yeah, but she was gone. I don't want to talk about that on this.
Uh
That's not.
oh
Yeah,
oh.
but anyway,
I just felt like it was a lot to process this week. Like,
not. I mean, that was I was fine with that.
really? Okay,
Yeah, because her and I are still cool. We still talk on the phone. We're good.
okay.
Yeah, I was no. What got me through the week was can't believe it, man. Y'all, I'm playing the original Final Fantasy VII. Not only am I playing it, I'm enjoying it, and I'm
The
going through
original or the
and
remake?
the original. I already played the remake. I love the remake.
Wait, you
But
went
you,
back to play the original, the one you shitted on for so many years?
yes, that's what I told you all this time. You thought I was talking about the remake?
Yeah, I was like,
No,
you playing? I thought you were playing it again. I was like,
no. Yeah, you know I like that one. No, that's why I wouldn't have told you that. No, this
I
whole time I was
misinterpreted
I
the
was talking
message.
about the original Final Fantasy on PlayStation from 1997. I got 50 hours. I'm 50 hours into it. Like, man, I'm really enjoying this game. Now, to
Eating
be
your words,
fair,
huh?
a little bit, but to be fair, I am playing an updated version with improvements like being able to play at 3 times speed,
Uh-huh.
being able to have no battles, no random battles, being able to always heal whenever. So it makes it a whole lot faster to play. I do like that. But I'm going through now and trying to do all the stuff I couldn't do before because I was either too young to understand what was going on or just too impatient to do it. Might have been a little bit of both, but I'm trying to breed all the chocobos. I'm getting all the materials, the master summons, all this stuff. I'm having a good time playing the original. And I will say it all goes back to playing Final Fantasy VII Remake and loving that so much. I was like, let me go back and play this original because people loved it. It's a touchstone. I recognize it as being a classic then, but I didn't care for it. But going back now, it's fun to see the original and see what they did in the remake. Like, oh, this is how they changed in the remake. And now as I go further in the game, it gets me excited for Rebirth whenever that comes out, February 29th or
Nice.
whatever.
Yeah. Is there playing this? Are there other games that makes you say maybe I might have been wrong about X game?
No, because I don't know any other game that I just didn't didn't love like Final Fantasy VII. Because I think it was a combination of me being younger, not really understanding the story, not being able to do everything in it like I wanted to because I didn't have the patience. And then because we talk about this all the time, people love stuff so much, so sometimes you'll be against it just to be
Hmm.
anti.
Yep.
And I was like, part of that was me being anti just to troll people a little bit. Like I never
Okay.
hated it, but it wasn't my thing. But now I'm like, this is a fun game. It's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It just
Do you think
it's a grind.
you said something earlier, and I want to piggyback off that real quick. Do you think it's because you're older a little bit? Because there are certain things that happens in your life where you're like you may not have been ready to receive that information, or that you see the story, you're able to like go back and see, oh, this is what they were trying to do, and I just
Could
wasn't
be,
ready for that
could be,
when I was
yeah.
playing. Okay.
I could see that for sure because now I can look at some of the things they do in the original, and I'm like, oh, I understand what you're going for now because you were able to succeed in doing it in the remake. It's like, oh, this is the idea you're going for.
It's
It
like
deals with a lot of heavy
there's
concepts and stuff.
there's a lot of movies like that that now that I'm able to go back to that I'm older or I'm a parent that I'm like, oh, I get it because I'm looking at it from a different character's point of view. Like American Beauty, I could not stand. I never understood what that was about, and now I'm able to watch it and be like, huh,
Hmm.
okay, I get it a little bit. Like I get it. I still don't. I'm still not like in love with the movie like everybody else is. But I think there are things where we're a little older, we're able to receive that information better based on life experiences. So that's good. I honestly thought you were talking about the remake. So I was like, this nigga playing this shit again?
No,
So I
no.
was like,
I mean, I probably will play that again in February just to
mhm,
refresh before Rebirth. But no, I was talking about the original.
okay.
Yeah. What
Um,
got you through the week or this time since we last been live? What's gotten you through the week?
uh, Ahsoka and action figure hunting.
Hmm.
I have so everybody knows I'm Star Wars's bitch. I can admit that. Um, I'm definitely no matter how hard they hit me, I keep coming back. So, um, a couple. So I go to Ollie's. Kim for Chicago. I need to start that. I need to start Loki because it dropped and I haven't watched it yet. I finished Ahsoka this week when the episode came out. Thank God they released these things at 9 p.m. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I would have died trying to stay up till 3 o'clock, like back in the day, with this new schedule. I'd have just nope. I watch it whenever. Um, so you have Ollie's. If you have an Ollie's, go. Um, they had. Do you remember Dave Filoni being an X-wing pilot in The Mandalorian?
If you say so.
His name was Trapper Wolf. He was an X-wing
Okay.
pilot, and
I remember a bunch of the directors were, so that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what squadron was he? Anyway, they were. I found at Ollie's his X-wing helmet. Bought it. I found the archive collection. Um, 501st Commander Cody and the Death Trooper. And then Target was selling all of their 60th anniversary for the Avengers wave. So, like the original Hawkeye on the Sky Cycle, the Black Widow, dirt cheap. And then um, I left work early to go to Walmart because I missed the pre-orders for Commander for the Fives 501st Black Series. So like just the idea of like that feeling you get when you see something on the shelf. and like you look online, you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy that. And then you're like, you miss out on the pre-order, and you just happen to go to a store and you see something on the shelf, and you're like, oh, and you find it, just that feeling. That's what's been getting me through. So like picking up one of the um, Jesse, picking up Jesse's action figure at Walmart, and then watching Ahsoka and seeing Anakin come back, and you see like all of that. That is what's been getting me through this time. Not So it's just oh, go watch Ahsoka, guys. We're gonna do a review whenever Michael gets done. I have thoughts. I don't want to spoil it. Um, the one thing I will say is they lean more in the fantasy in this, and I don't hate it. I like it, and I am now a believer in Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I was a little,
Cool.
I was a little cold. I wasn't ready for it, but the woman who plays Sabine Wren, ooh, he is, and honestly, Michael, from what Kim from Chicago says, um, the prequels, Dave Filoni's up there with Kevin Feige with me.
Okay.
So
Cool. On that, folks, we'll be back. Hopefully, we'll be back next week, maybe around this time, 9:30. We'll see. We
we
might
not.
be live. Oh, sorry,
No.
we're not.
I'm gonna tell you right now, we're not.
Okay,
I'm not
cool.
even, this next week gonna be taped. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I'm not even gonna
Oh,
lie.
okay. There we go. I guess we'll tape it.
I'm not
Hopefully,
even,
maybe week after that, we'll see.
I don't even want to lie. It's probably gonna be taped and then one of them will be live, but I will be on location because in 2 weeks I have to go on a shoot to Charlotte, not Charlotte. What's the other Charleston?
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, this new job has me traveling.
cool. If y'all got questions about Leroy's travel, drop them in the comments below. He'll answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, I really love my new job. So,
Yeah.
Kim from Chicago, now that I've just turned 46, I am learning my limitations. I am not a young man anymore, and I have to like take breaks. And I'm learning that. You know what? There we go. Like, comment, and subscribe. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Threads,
YouTube, where we are now.
oh yeah, and Twitch.
Yeah, and Twitch. All right, folks, that's it for us. We'll be back later.
Peace.